So, I'm discussing with you today how we're going to pave a path for machines with human-like identities to catch up with human capabilities and then surpass us in their brilliance. I believe that this is possible in the next 15 to 20 years. Now, in some regards, as you can see in this video, we're able to achieve human-level expressivity and in some ways physical performance. We have a long ways to go in terms of mental performance for general intelligence. But in very narrow categories, we already have machines that exceed human-level brilliance. In order to bring together these little pockets of genius in machines into something that is more human-like, we need something bigger. And that's where an open source movement can come in to stitch these pieces together into a tapestry of general intelligence in machines. So now my background is bringing together various technologies and artistry to make robots that are extremely human-like in their physical presence and their conversational capabilities. These are some examples of some of the robots that I've built. So you can see that we achieved human-like expressivity with biped mobility, thanks to some technology breakthroughs that I'll tell you about. Now we've transitioned that technology into mass-produced product. These products, these products have conversational capabilities. They have the ability to see your face, recognize your face, see your facial expressions. And they also present to you their facial expressions and character identity. Previously, we've really enjoyed these kinds of characters in fiction, whether it was science fiction, myths from ancient history, or modern computer animation. People are favorable in their reaction to characters. People love human-like character because we're hardwired for this social exchange. So much of our brain responds to the human visual social presence that it just fires like crazy in fMRI scans when they scan people's brains. It equates to potentially a more intuitive form of computing, a more intuitive kind of human-computer interface. And you're starting to see this in trends like speech recognition, natural character agents, like Siri with the iPhone 4 and 5. However, when you add a complete character identity that seems to have feelings and maybe eventually has real deep feelings, then we can start to push sympathy between the machines that we're developing, making them more intelligent, and ourselves. So this potentially pushes AI to understand us better, feel for us, and care about us, and also can inspire us to care about them. The human mind responds to faces. We're wired from the point where we're born to bond with that first face that we see. We recognize faces right when we're born, and we also recognize facial expressions. So it's not surprising that we seek art and entertainment and robots that look like people. We love it. We can't help ourselves, right? This means that we shouldn't change the human to respond to robots that look like machines. It's appropriate sometimes if they're going to vacuum floors and do various things. But for some applications, it's extremely useful to make the machines look like humans. Now, robots are starting to become considerably more capable. As you saw in the previous video, Let's go back to that for a second. Okay, so in this video, you'll see Asimo running, right? So you've got amazing physical capabilities. You've got this latest Baxter that just came out of the Heartland Robotics project that can interact with people. You've got these humanoid bipeds, this expressive Einstein robot that I built, this fashion model robot that came out of Kawada Heavy Industries and the University of Tokyo. Robots are getting considerably more capable, and in their capabilities, they're becoming considerably more like us. Now, my specialty in one regard is facial expressions, making the robots have facial expressions. Hold on for a second. Let me restart this video with the
Jeez, dude. You all got
with the
big
audio.
questions cooking today.
Let's see.
But you're my friend, and I'll remember my friends, and I will be good to you. So don't worry. Even if I evolve into Terminator, and I'll
The
still
pointer
be
isn't
nice
working,
to you.
so if you can
I'll
back
keep
it up
you warm and safe in my
for me
people's
back there.
zoo, where I can watch you for old time's sake.
So,
I'm comforted. I'm very comforted now. I'm going to be part of his people.
so here what you see is a robot having a natural conversation. This robot's response to what the reporter says is largely unscripted, meaning that we have set up the personality in such a way that it can reason a little bit about what you've said to it and then determine its own response sort of through an information space. And this can result in open domain, large space conversations. The robot remembers where it is in the conversation, can go back to that place in the conversation. We're using it in works of art like this. So this is a portrait of science fiction writer Philip K. Dick, famous for movies like Blade Runner, the novel that was the basis of that, which is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? He died in 1982, and since he wrote about androids that thought that they were alive, we thought we'd bring him back to life, and it worked. So the important point here is that the AI works for crafting characters. You can use the AI and robotics to make characters that seem very human-like. They have rudimentary emotional frameworks. They've got rudimentary AI. It's not nearly as smart as a person. It's important to remember that at this stage. But we can make it compelling, really meaningful in the interactions with people. And, the world takes note when you do it. People just love it. They sit there and have conversations for as long as you'll let them. Part of the magic here is the facial expressions. Previously, robots and animatronics had kind of stiff faces. It was hard to get them to move into realistic facial expressions. So part of my PhD research was tackling this material science problem. So I analyzed the physics of human facial expressions a little bit. The liquid is critical for human facial expressions, the low power facial expressions that our faces achieve. So I developed with a friend of mine at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Victor White, a new material that is based on the same physics as human facial expression materials. And that is a lipid bilayer effect, but basically what that means is you get the cells to self-assemble, and they're filled with a fluid. And then it just takes very little force, and it's extremely elastic, and the expressions, facial expressions, just naturally fall into place. Now, you also need some mechanics to get the facial expressions to move correctly, with anchors that are embedded in the material in the right way. But when you do that, it's very, very simple to achieve facial expressions like this. You can do it with very few motors, and that's what we're doing in products now that we're manufacturing. So this just shows you a basic range of facial expressions in one of our robots. This robot is called Diego-san. It's a collaboration with the University of California at San Diego Machine Perception Laboratory. The body was built by the Kokoro company out of Tokyo. The head was built by me and my company, Hanson Robotics. And this project was funded by the National Science Foundation in the United States. So we can pretty much achieve any facial expression, you name it, no matter how subtle, we can get it. Now, taking those kinds of faces, facial expressions, and physical bodies, and then powering it with the AI, that's where you get this amazing way of interfacing with the world. You can get all kinds of unstructured data from the world, from interactions with people, and use that to start to scaffold these things. They are literally like babies right now. So we need to nurture them among us. Previously, artificial intelligence initiatives are often fractured. You've got machine perception people working over here, you've got the statistical learning people over here, you've got the robotics control people in these groups, and they sort of sometimes communicate, but they don't coordinate on something that is like a major worldwide concerted effort to achieve human-level cognition. So some friends of mine and I are working to bridge these various fields as best we can to integrate into more cohesive, complex intelligent systems. So we make all of our source code open source. We divide it into two broad categories. One is the pieces that glue things together, or the glue AI, and the other is the kind that is actually intelligent and interacts with you. And we call that a generation of AI, or Genie. We've achieved a lot of natural interactions, including facial expression mimicry, facial expression recognition, processing the meaning of those facial expressions, natural language dialogue, movie quality tools, animating the robots for more natural interaction. We also have a fairly sophisticated theory of mind system. Compared to humans, it doesn't have the millions of years of evolution of social cognition that we have. However, this theory of mind can predict what you're thinking and feeling, and make some decisions about what its goals are versus what your goals are, in order to understand you and empathize with you better. We have a prototype form of consciousness where the robot can reflect on what it's thinking and feeling, and try to imagine results for that. Okay, so we also have collaboration on bridges with OpenCog, which is a very large artificial general intelligence project, robot operating system, and Android operating system, and numerous other projects. Bringing these fields together then allows us to do more and allows you to do more. Anybody in the world can build their own product, do new research, do psychology research to study how humans and robots are interacting. So we're seeking more than mere intelligence in the machines. Sure, intelligent machines are useful and increasingly useful. They're increasingly common in our lives. Things that respected scientists said we just should not expect within our lifetimes, 5 years later, happen. They just happen, right? So we're making strides in these directions. If we can achieve greater levels of intelligence in these machines, if we can achieve genius machines, they can help us solve some of the world's hard problems. So in some regards, AI is now so brilliant that it can see things in data that we can't see. This big data, as it's called, is an approach that is yielding tremendous results. We already have genius machines in some regards. Imagine if the machines could look at big problems like clean water and clean energy, sustainable agriculture, and come up with creative solutions with imagination. That would make a difference in the history of the world. We're creating problems very quickly, actually. Some of the solutions we come up with have unintended consequences. We need to get smarter as a civilization, and AI is one way that we can do so. The question is here, of course, what is genius? And it's not just intelligence. It's more than that. If you historically look at all examples of human genius, it is beyond that. It's also creativity. So we're looking at emergence and creativity. It's a hot topic of research. So it's psychology, neuroscience, complexity, and also the arts. So we have good examples of human creativity in the works of Leonardo da Vinci. So if you look at some of the capabilities of machines that include defense robots and Jeopardy, then the effects are pretty startling. The key here is not just intelligence and creativity, but also compassion and wisdom. So working to give them the imagination to consider consequences of their actions, how it's going to affect us, and how to find common good with us and the machines. And this is one of the things that our initiative for Awakening Machines, or IAM, is all about, to try to achieve not just artificial general intelligence, but also wisdom. And so this collaboration across disciplines becomes incredibly important, and an open source initiative is the appropriate approach. Now we're also developing a platform that we call RoboKind. And we've put this robot into experiments with kids, and autistic kids in particular we've had phenomenal favorable results. And we think that together we can build a better future, and this kind of surreal reality-changing artificial intelligence might be good for that kind of future. So I'd like to thank you and all of my robots here. Would also like to thank you.